It's just fun to feel like we look beautiful, and it's important for many ways. And I kind of made that case a little bit last night when I talked about the grocery store chain that makes sure that they remodel the inside and make the inside beautiful. And that is our priority as well, that we make the inside beautiful. And then they remodel the outside as a way of enticing people into the inside. And I love that analogy with when it comes to our own personal beauty, that we do have that focus on the inside, but we want the outside to reflect what's there. And especially as we carry the name of Christ, we want to represent him well. So I'm not an expert in any of this. I'm on my own little journey, but I've invited some other people to share this morning. And so I'm going to be inviting them up one after another and sharing in their particular area. So we're going to talk a little bit about hair and even, anyway, we'll get to it. I'll let each segment be a surprise. But for now, I've asked Suzie to come up and share something that I thought, somebody who always has it together is Suzie. And so when I asked her about possibly sharing, she was ready. It's like she'd been preparing the talk before I even asked her. So thank you for being willing to share.
Well, thank you for thinking I always have it together, because I really don't. In fact, I should have kept one of those pedicure things for myself, because just before leaving, I put one last coat of nail polish on my toes. I'm not sure why. I don't have any open-toed shoes with me. But I did, and then when I got here, of course, my sock was stuck to that toe. And I have been wearing that sock, a piece of that sock on my toe all weekend long. So I should have kept one of those envelopes. The thing is, I'm not going back to Portland. Mark Twain tells us, clothes make the man. Naked people have little or no influence on society. Consciously or unconsciously, we dress an impression. In our choice of clothing, we present an image of ourselves. The significance of this is that as Christian women, we reflect the image of Christ. The latest research on what we wear suggests that what we wear impacts not only how we feel about ourselves, but it actually impacts our thinking. This becomes significant when you consider Proverbs 23:7. For as a man or woman thinketh within himself or herself, so he or she is. According to the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology, there's now a term for the impact clothes have on our thinking. That term is enclothed cognition. For example, in research, they found that participants wearing a white lab coat, described as a physician's coat or a doctor's coat, actually sustained their attention to detail, called forth a higher level of thinking, and their vocabulary, the use of their words, increased. They compared that to the exact same coat that was given to another group that was described as a painter's coat. The difference in behavior was remarkable. The difference in vocabulary was remarkable. And the difference of their detail orientation was definitely different. And these were all people of the same class of people. They just divided them up randomly. So what we wear, they discovered, really does impact our behaviors. So what does that mean to us as Christian women? In Timothy 2:9 it says, in like manner also, women adorn themselves in modest apparel. Now, modesty doesn't mean that we dress frumpy or outdated or unattractive. It means that we're well-groomed, we match, we're appropriate for the occasion, and appropriate for the century we live in. I was talking about this to my friend Christina right over here, who's just beautiful inside and out and always well put together. And I work with Christina, and we were talking about clothing. And Christina is a family practice nurse practitioner. And she works with folks that are oftentimes on the lower social economic scale. And so for her to come to work every day dressed to the nines would make her unapproachable for her clientele that she serves. And she always looks really good, but she's not wearing the $300 shoes that we were talking about and a $500 suit. She dresses so that she's approachable, and that's how we should all dress, so that we're approachable for our population that we're around, that we want to attract. Our clothes and appearance are the most powerful, nonverbal communicator of our Christian character. They serve as a frame to reveal the picture of the one that we serve. As Christians, we can't say, what I wear is nobody's business. We want to attract people to us so that we can tell them about our Jesus. Overly dressed or underdressed creates barriers to being comfortable to being around. They create barriers to our approachability. So what does it mean to be a becomingly dressed woman? It means that our clothes should be in good repair, odor-free, clean and matching, and if they need ironed, iron them. It doesn't mean that they need to be expensive. Although if you've got the money to spend on clothes, I'm not here to tell you not to buy expensive clothing, but you don't need to buy expensive clothing to look good. I remember in the early 70s, dressing for success was all the rage. And they would have people go around with those color swatches. Have you all done that? Yes, yes. I'm a winter. I happen to be wearing autumn clothes today, but I'm a winter. And I remember the lady that came in to give us our color coding and tell us what season we were. She came in this little double knit red suit, and it was about up to here. This was the early 70s, and kind of stiletto heels. Walked up there, and we were all waiting to find out what we were. And she pulled out the swatches, and I discovered I was a winter. So I was imparting this information to my mother, who, by the way, got a lot smarter the older I got. But at that point in time, I thought she probably didn't know about this stuff. And so I was imparting this knowledge on a shopping trip with my mother. We were going to get some school clothes. I was in college. And we were walking into the store, and I was saying, Mother, I can't wear anything but winter clothing. And so as we walked into the store, my mother pointed out this circular rack that was over in the corner of the store, and it had 50 to 80% off. And she looked at me and she said, Suzie, that's your color right over there. There's your season. So she is a smart lady. And my mother always dressed to the nines, and she spent very little on her clothing, but she always looked great. I learned a lot from her. The bottom line is we want to radiate a God-centered personality. Sister White says, dress neatly and becomingly. Do not make yourself the subject of remarks, either by being overdressed or by dressing in a lax, untidy manner. So a few little tricks that I learned through the years. I've historically done a lot of traveling on my job. I've had to fly most recently several times throughout the year. I go from Walla Walla to the Renton area where our corporate office is at. And I've discovered through the years that airlines do amazing things to your luggage if you're able to locate it when you get to the other end. And there's nothing worse, for me anyway, to get to my destination without my makeup, my curling iron, and my special hairdryer that I bring everywhere with me, much less a change of clothes. So I discovered that I could take one plain dress, black, navy blue, whatever, but a solid color. I could actually wear that thing for 4 days if I needed to, with different scarves or a couple sweaters, or just a solid pants and top and wear the same thing. Every single place you stay has an ironing board and an iron. You need not look wrinkled from day to day. And if you practice good hygiene, you can generally get by with this. Gets back to the odor-free clothing. But I never check my luggage in. I'm always able to get things on a carry-on. And it's amazing what you can do with different scarves. People actually don't look at you from the waist down unless you're really unusual from the waist down. They look at you from this up. They're looking at your face. They're looking at this part of you. And I can guarantee nobody knew that I would wear the same dress for 3 to 4 days in a row, or the same pair of dark slacks, the same dark top, or light if it was in the summertime, because I always had a different scarf. You can do amazing things with scarves. They're a lot of fun. My hairdresser recently showed me how to make a little swag out of them, little jackets. And so you can Google that. So there's just a lot of things you can do. You don't have to have a huge wardrobe, but if you buy the right things, you can do a lot of things with them. It looks like you have an endless closet. Petite shops. And Sherry and I were kind of talking about this the other day. A lot of people don't realize the petite shops, it doesn't mean this. It doesn't mean that your waist is the size of a pencil. What it means is you're short like this. I've been in petite shops where I've seen size 18, size 22 petite. So when you think of petite, if you see a petite shop as having good values for your money, go into the petite shop. No matter what size you wear, if you're short, you'll probably find something in there in the petite shop. The other thing is I love to shop at thrift stores. I'm not suggesting you buy things at thrift stores. That happens to be my passion. I love to go to thrift stores. I love to shop at thrift stores. I get most of my clothes at thrift stores. The other day I was at the dry cleaners, and they always have this rack of things people never pick up. Everything on there is $5. And the pants I wore yesterday were my latest acquisition at the dry cleaners. Went in to pick up my husband's clothes, and there on the rack were pants that were just my size, petite. And so I bought them, and I wore them yesterday, and I spent a whopping $5 for those things. And they were like new and just recently dry cleaned. So again, if you don't like that kind of thing, that's fine. I just find it a lot of fun. So I guess just in closing, with a radiant smile and a well put together, becoming look on you that fits your body style, that makes you approachable, that's the key to being a simply beautiful woman.